Christianity seems to be divided into two very distinct, very different camps. There are those who fill their lives with rules. No dancing, no drinking, no smoking, no foul language, and on as they attempt to be pious. Then there are those who live as if there are no rules. They say Jesus gave us grace and set us free from the burden of rules. In between those two camps are most of us, trying to live our faith as best we can, following some of the rules and dismissing others. The Christians in the strict rule-abiding camp and the non-believers who observe us point fingers at the rest of Christians, saying we have a superficial faith and that we've created a feel-good Jesus. They say Jesus has been made less relevant by our understanding of him as our brother or our friend. There may be some truth in the accusations that we have Jesus on almost equal footing instead of up on a pedestal. But if we're still listening to his words, still searching for meaning in those words, and still being transformed by his words, then I'm absolutely fine with thinking we have a friend in Jesus. I agree grace is an incredible gift. I agree we're set free from the burden of the 600 plus laws that regulated Jewish life in first century Palestine. But if we think that means we're free to live any way we feel like it with no consequences, we're ignoring the teachings of Jesus. In our reading today, Jesus makes it very clear that self-control of our behavior is crucial. I don't think he actually wants us to maim ourselves when we do something wrong. What he wants is us to care so much about how we treat others and about how we conduct ourselves that we would rather suffer harm than to do anything intentionally to harm another person. The lesson we're reflecting on today does not abolish the Ten Commandments. It expands upon them. Jesus began with "Thou shalt not kill," and added to it, "Thou shalt not be angry or resort to name-calling." His standard for our behavior is so high that he includes anger and insults right alongside murder. He names consequences that nobody wants, blindness or loss of a limb. He's serious about this love your neighbor stuff. The freedom he offers isn't from the law, it's from the need to memorize all the laws. If we're loving God with all our being and loving each other the way Jesus loves us, then we will naturally be treating all people, all creatures, and all of creation the way we should, without the need for checking ourselves continuously against incredibly long lists of thou shalls and thou shalt nots. Each example in our reading gives a practical way of living in community and in healthy relationship with each other. Jesus charges us with personal responsibility and reminds us that our actions have consequences for others. We don't get to treat people poorly, then sit back and judge them when their lives get off track because of our words or actions. Our reading closes with Jesus telling us not to make oaths, but to let our yes stand on its own and to let our no stand on its own. In other words, live and speak in such a way that saying yes can be trusted to mean yes, and saying no can be trusted to mean no. Don't be a politician who says yes to one group, no to another, then does whatever is expedient to their own personal gain when it's time to make a stand. The standard Jesus sets for our behavior is high, but it's founded in love. Love God, love others. All the others. Love them as if they are not others, but as if they are self. Augustine was concerned with all kinds of rules in his day. He struggled to understand grace. But in a moment of absolute clarity, he said something brilliant. Love God and do as you please. He knew, and we know, that if the first thing about us is that we love God, then the things that we want to do will flow from that foundation of love and will naturally be things that honor all the commandments. If I'm loving God first, I can't steal from you, or lie to you, or tell lies about you. If I'm loving God first, I can't commit murder or adultery. If I'm loving God first, I can't be racist or Islamophobic or heterosexist or ableist or ageist. If I'm loving God first, I don't need to worry about being required to pluck out my eye or chop off my right hand or getting caught making an oath that I won't keep, because loving God first guides all the rest of my being. Regardless of where you stand on the Dakota Access Pipeline, there's something very important we can learn from the water protectors who gather in prayer ceremony all hours of the day and night. As they pray for themselves and their children and their own water, they also pray for the law enforcement officers, the dapple workers, their children, and their water. They are showing us what it is to be people of faith. In their prayers, they're modeling for all of us what it is to love God and then love others. Regardless of how each of them defines their own faith, they're modeling the behavior Jesus asks of us. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hurt you. Being a Christian, conducting our lives is as simple as it is difficult. All we need to do is make sure we are motivated by love so strongly that we would no sooner harm another person than we would cut off our own hand. Jesus is not asking us to do self-harm. He's asking us not to put ourselves into that position. Love. That's it. One rule, one word.